the iPads are going to be going around, and there's a form for you to fill in. You don't have to, it's optional, but it's just to get further information. And as I keep banging on to you, the more information you've got, the more research you've got about everything is going to help you make more informed life choices, okay? So it's good. It's good to be knowledgeable. And I'll pass you over.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Alex, originally from the UK. I now live in India. And I work for a number of different universities. Mostly UK universities. And what I'm hired to do is come and deliver workshops to students. To begin, it's very early on a what day are we on? Tuesday? Wednesday. On a Wednesday morning. So we're going to play a little game to get your heads and bodies working together. Okay, really simple. So first thing, I need you to put your left hand flat. Then, I need you to put your right finger inside the person's hand next to you, on your right. Yeah? So like this. Okay? You can. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to say the word go. When I say the word go, you're going to try and grab your friend's finger. But you do not want your finger to be caught. So you have to move your finger really quickly, and then you have to grab your friend's finger. Make sense? Yeah? This should wake you up a little bit. So, 3, 2,
Stop cheating!
Sorry.
I'm going to stop cheating.
go!
You're no one.
Nice, okay, one more time. That was just a trial. One more time. Ready? Your hand has to be flat. Okay? Looks like there's a little standoff happening over here. Okay, ready?
Stop cheating.
Go! Okay, whose finger was caught? Hands up if your finger was caught. Okay, nice. Hands down. Okay, so just a really interactive way to get the energy in the room up. It's going to be quite an interactive session, actually. I'm going to give quite a bit of information, but also you're going to give some as well, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So the topic of the workshop is careers you may not have thought about. And the best place to start is how times are changing. Okay? Now, quite often, the people who are advising you about which course you should take, or the people who are pushing you towards a particular course, and we're normally looking for their courses about 30 to 50 years ago. Okay? So teachers sometimes, parents, grandparents, that sort of thing. Now, around 50 years ago, globally, what was needed were business students and engineering students. And the reason for that is because of the 3 types of economy, okay, that countries progress through. So there's an agricultural economy, manufacturing economy, and service economy. And now, in the world, the service economy is the economy that's growing the fastest. And by the service economy, I'm talking about things like performance, things in terms of animation, design. Basically, all of the things that you buy into now, that your parents and grandparents wouldn't have had the options to buy into. Okay, we'll come on to that a little bit more. So things that are increasing, okay, obviously the service economy, I will explain that further, but also our impact on climate change. So a lot of companies, big companies now, are looking at sustainability and how we can ensure that the work that we're doing is sustainable and has a lower impact on the community. Community. Okay, change in communication and technology is another really big one, but also the increase in AI. Okay? And the reason why these things are increasing will also come on to a little bit later. But the link with that previous slide to the UAE is on the board at the minute. Okay? So the service sector and the number of workers, but also in the UAE, the number of technology-related courses, okay, is increasing dramatically. You should stand this side, really. Okay. So the service economy, when we talk about the service economy, we're talking about things which are non-tangible. Okay? So not walking into a shop and walking away with a phone. That would be a tangible good. So we're talking about things that are non-tangible. So what are services that are non-tangible? What do you buy into? What services do you buy into as a group of people or individually? Shout them out.
Taxis.
What was the name of the taxi company you said? Uber. Fantastic. That's a brilliant one. Yeah. Anything else?
Kareem.
Huh? Is that, what's that? Is that a taxi?
That's like Uber.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's another one. Brilliant. Anything else? Loads and loads of things.
Yeah, like movies.
Netflix. Brilliant. Yeah? That's something right now that's consistently growing and making
Apple
so
Music.
much money. Huh?
Apple Music. Spotify.
Spotify, Apple Music. Brilliant. What else? Huh? You said something. What did you say?
No, I was saying something.
Oh, okay. In your spare time, what do you do? So we've got Netflix. What else do you do?
Omegle. Omegle.
What's Omegle?
Like a chat function. So social media.
Oh, social. I think I'm getting really old. Okay, already. Okay, so social media. Yeah, social media. All of that is another one. Fantastic. Anything else? If you're ordering food, will you type the number, or will you Will you use an app?
Eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Zomato. I don't know if you have Zomato here. Yeah. Huh? Namshi. Okay. All of these things. Gaming. Does anyone game?
Steam.
Steam. What is Steam?
I'm making you look right, madam.
Maybe. Yeah, you actually are. You just keep throwing things out. Okay. So all of these things are a part of the service economy. Your gaming, all of that side of things. Now, in terms of the service economy, it's good to think about what it's done. Now, one of the things it's done is aided development, but it's also created urbanization. So people moving out of rural areas into the cities where things are much more active and where there's much more money. Okay? But what that means is that that has a knock-on effect for the things that we relied the rural communities to do. And one of those things is agriculture. Expanding middle class, which means that people are buying more. So your Netflix, it comes in terms of you buy more, supply and demand, right? So if you're going to buy into it, then they'll produce more to make it better, to make it easier to use, and more people can use that. Increase in disposable income, and also this concept of AI. Okay? So using your skills, applying the skills to where they're needed, and increasing the technology around. Okay. In terms of climate change, all of this has that knock-on effect. 95% of climate change has been put down to human activity. This is important. Okay, and these are the key things, okay, so what it's done. So affected ecosystems, droughts, heat waves, but the key one that we're going to focus on a little bit later is agriculture. And the reason for that is because of how different countries are food secure. Now in the UAE, there is only 80% of the food is imported, which means that you're only 20% food secure. Now there's a big government scheme that's happening at the minute, which is looking at turning that on its head. So by 2070, the government wants to have the UAE as much more food secure. And so there is a lot of investment going into technology. but specifically agricultural technology, the use of drones, things like that. So that's a really good area for anybody interested in in this field. It's a really good area to specialise. Okay, so on the board there are 9 dots in a square box. You have a task for 2 minutes. You have to join all of these 9 dots in 4 straight lines. Okay? Now the lines cannot come, they're not separate lines. If they were separate, we could do it in 3. Yeah? 1, 2, 3. They all have to be joined and they have to be straight. Does that make sense? Yeah? 4 straight lines, 2 minutes. Speak with the people next to you. See if you can solve this. Perfect. Okay, so we have someone who's done it. So the answer is, you go from here, up, outside the box. You come across these 2, over there, and up there. Yeah?
It's cheating.
Why is it cheating?
Going outside the blind.
She never said that, did she?
Line.
Who said did I say you had to stay inside the lines?
No, but it would be nice to clarify.
It would have been nice to clarify, okay? But that's defeated the object of my activity. Cheesiest activity ever. The concept was think outside the box, okay? Now, it can also be done in 3 straight lines, okay? Does anybody know how it can be done in 3 straight lines?
Inside the lines?
Inside. No.
Okay.
Still have to think outside the box. Okay, but it's dependent on how far outside the box you're willing to go. So you have to go all the way out, all the way back. Yeah? Like that. 3. Make sense?
We're going down.
Like this. I'll show you on here. Yeah? You all look so disappointed. You're like, oh, right. That's how it is. Okay. So that's big. So it's just a really silly introduction, okay, to this workshop again. So I've given you some basic facts on a number of different things. But what we're going to look at today is 4 different ways of how you can stay ahead of the game with the way that the economy is moving right now. So we're going to look at animation, we're going to look at a number of different creative industries, game design, we're going to look at VFX, okay, all of these areas. We're going to look at sporting industries, we're going to look at crime and psychology, how these are opening up, and we're also going to look at agricultural engineering, okay. So I've done quite a bit on agriculture already, so we're just going to finish that bit off first. So I've got a quick video for you to see.
Feeding the planet has never been more challenging. By the time you watch this video, 300 people will be born across the globe. The world population is expected to grow from 7 billion today to 9 billion by 2050. To keep up, we'll need to increase our food production by at least 70%. And it's not just the number of people to feed, it's also the changes in what they're eating. In developing parts of the world, demand for protein has tripled in the last 40 years. Egg consumption has increased 7-fold. To satisfy our desire for protein, farmers must grow more crops like corn, soy, and grains to feed more livestock. For cattle and feedlots, it takes 7 kilograms of grain to raise 1 kilogram gain in live weight. But crops are being used for other purposes as well, not just food. About 10% of the supply is already being redirected towards biofuels and industrial products. So simply growing more is easier said than done with our limited natural resources such as arable land and water. Developed countries consume almost 7 times more water than developing countries, so it will only become more challenging. And with about 70% of us migrating to and living in an urban area by 2050, there will be fewer people to grow our food. These are just some of the facts that have us all searching for solutions. Farmers feed our population. How will we help them transform the way they grow for decades to come?
Okay, so we've spoken a bit about this issue in terms of agriculture on that side, and this is where I'm going to introduce you to the first university. So Harper Adams is a university in the UK. It's pioneering for agriculture, food and environmental studies. So it's the top university in the UK for any of these areas. Okay. Now, in terms of the university itself, the placements that are provided are really, really strong. So you're consistently in the field, and it's also on a farm. Okay, so you cannot get much more practical in terms of these specific courses. Okay, so it's really neat. In terms of the courses, these are what they do. Very, very specialist. Okay, so it's your agriculture. The business is linked with agriculture, food science, property and land management. These sorts of courses. Now, the difference between doing a general course, which the majority of students, when they go to university, decide upon a general course. But the difference between doing a general course and specialising is the employment rate. So the employment rate for specialist courses shoot right up, as long as you're able to see how that fits within the economy right now. Okay? So specialising in the correct areas is really important. And I think the key thing in terms of that video is this, about the artificial intelligence. Okay? That we need people who can create that artificial intelligence and can then show other people how to take that forward. And that's something that Harper Adams is really working on. Okay? So they've created a project, and they succeeded to exclusively farm a crop via AI, which in terms of agriculture is a really, really big movement. Okay? So we've spoken about Harper Adams very briefly. There are going to be leaflets that you can take away, and there's also a form coming round. Make sure you fill that form if you're interested in any of these. Okay? The second one is the Arts University of Bournemouth. Now, the Arts University of Bournemouth is a creative specialist university. So it does a number of different courses in media, fine art, graphic design, fashion. Those are the courses that it does, but it's very, very specialist in terms of these. Okay, so you can see some of them here, some of the courses that are here. Okay. Now, in terms of why study the creative industries, now in the UK, the creative economy is worth £133 billion, and the jobs where people are employed in that area are around 1.8 million right now, and they're consistently growing. So it's a really, really key place for those people who are interested in this area. And the joy about the service economy right now is that you can succeed in the different areas that you're interested in. But where is the money? Okay, I'm going to play you this, hopefully, if the video works, which it doesn't seem to be.
The world's greatest
Okay, how many of you have seen this film? Yeah?
just inherited
Majority?
3 small problems.
You will not sneeze or burp or fart. No annoying sounds.
Does this count as annoying?
From Chris Meledandri, executive producer of Ice Age.
Okay, bedtime. Not you two.
Steve Carell, Miranda Cosgrove,
Oh, somebody's got a frowny face.
okay, my turn. Despicable
Okay, hands up if you've seen this
Available
film.
on Blu-ray and DVD.
Keep your hands up if you've watched this all the way to the end. Put your hands down if you have not watched this all the way to the end. Keep them up if you have.
By all the way to the end, do you mean the credits as well?
The credits. Everyone's like, oh, no, definitely not, okay? So this is the place, this is just an example. Now this is the place that you can see all of the jobs that are available just within animation. So you've got your managers, you've got your directors, you've obviously got your animators, but you've got your set designers, sound technicians. All of these different areas are included within animation. And a lot of the times, when people think about going into animation, they think they have to be fantastic drawers. But there's also so much more that you can go into. Now in terms of animators, people who are good at drawing, this could be the place for you because the money that's going into this area is really, really strong. How many of you have seen this film? Yeah? It's worth around $1.2, $1.3 billion. How many of you have played this game, the last one? So not the ones before, but Grand Theft Auto 5. On its own, it's worth near enough $2 billion. Okay, that's the last one on its own. So the amount of money is really, really large. And quite often we're told that there's no hope of going into these particular careers. Okay? And that goes back to the people that are often advising us are people who were looking around 30 years ago when there wasn't really much scope. AUB also runs summer programs. Okay, so anybody who's interested in summer programs or getting a feel of the UK, specifically university in the UK, sorry, then this could be a good chance for you to really have a look into. Okay, so that's 2 that we've done. Okay, my next one is the University of York. Now the University of York is a Russell Group university in the UK within the top 20. Its teaching quality its teaching is often delivered by people who are specialists in those particular areas and active in research. So, in general, globally, there are 4 types of crime, okay, that are present in any community. Personal crime, property crime, inchoate crime, which basically means incomplete crime. You attempted to carry that out, but you got caught, or you just didn't succeed, and statutory crime. Now, the crime that's reported the most globally is personal crime, okay, and that trend has never changed. However, what has changed is the type of personal crime that is committed. Okay? I went home for Christmas last year and I received this email. It says, "Dear Ms Snee, I was recently in the UK the other week and I met with one of your relatives who had not spoken to you in the past 5 years. Unfortunately, when I returned to the UK, I heard that they had been killed in a car accident. When I met Mrs. Sandra Jones, she informed me that she would like you to receive her inheritance. If you could send me your account details and the address of your home, I will ensure that I send you the $2 million. Sounds great, sounds perfect. It's exactly what I need. Okay, who would send their account details? No? Nobody? Why? Scam. What's the name of this sort of crime? What did you say? Cybercrime. Brilliant. Okay, again, you have 2 minutes to speak to the person next to you. What is it about this email that's made you decide that it's cybercrime? What is it about the email? So one really good example is the spelling, right? We'll take 2 minutes to speak amongst yourselves. Mrs. Sandra Answers. What have we got? Yeah, spelling mistakes, right? Really simple spelling mistakes. Incorrect. Anything else?
She pointed out that it says, I was recently in UK, but then he says, I returned to UK.
And why is that important?
Because it's stupid.
Why? Okay, so just these are all coming back to the... Yeah, so it's all coming back to your logic, right? And it just doesn't feel right. Anything else?
A relative that you've not spoken to in 5 years.
Giving me that. Also, I do not know.
Giving you all the inheritance.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah.
It says $2 million even though it's in the UK, so it would be in pounds.
Exactly right. If he met her in the UK and she's my relative, I would hope that the insurance was in pounds. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
It has no details of like the company, the place they're telling you where they're from. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. No details whatsoever. You would think that something like this, A, wouldn't come in an email. There may be a phone call first or some prior communication. But also B, you'd need that stamp or you'd need something which would make it legit. Okay. So tell me, out of all of you in this room, how many of you would reply in any way, shape or form to this email? Yeah? Any way, shape or form, which means you may reply to take the mic. Do you know that saying? Yeah, to take the mic out of them. Anyway, hands up. 1, 2, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah? Okay. So this is a legit email that I received. And I received this email alongside a number of other people in my area. And we had something through the post which said we had to report it. So I did. I called the police, I reported it. And they informed me that this came from Uganda. Right? So this email came from Uganda. And not only did it come from Uganda, but they'd also managed to send it to a number of other people. What they then informed me was, so they asked the question, did you reply? Now just for those of you who put your hand up, who replied, I was one of those people, okay, who did reply, yeah? And I said yes. And then they said that the email had a tab. So I'm not very technologically capable, okay? The email had some sort of link, which if you reply, the person who sent it is able to trace where you sent it from. And if you sent it from your home address, that's then when cybercrime starts to spiral. Because that's then when they have your address, and that's then when they're able to find out other bits of information about you. Okay? I know you have a son, I know who you live with. Those sorts of things can then start to spiral. Or even, I know what you did, right? And depending on our personality, depending on the things that we have kept away, you can suddenly see how people end up sending over money, okay? Now, in terms of cybercrime, the worrying thing about this is I've never been to Uganda. They had my name, they had my email address, and they knew that I was from the UK, alongside this link as well. Now, in terms of cybercrime, it's expected to hit around $6 trillion by 2021. That will make it the greatest transfer of economic wealth that's ever been there in history. Now, I am not telling you to go into cybercrime. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that as technology changes, and as we start to look at these changes, it's really important that we have people who are in place to counteract these. Okay? And that's where criminology, psychology courses can come into play. Now, in terms of jobs for people in these areas, really, really diverse. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a video. As soon as you know where this video is from, I want you to shout out. As soon as you know. 2 hints, it is not a country, and it is not a city. Okay? No country, no city. As soon as you know where it's from, shout out. Oh no.
No one understood what's going on. People were running everywhere.
The uncertainty of Brexit, don't know what's going to happen.
We're a more divided nation than we've ever been.
And the officer that was next to us, he ran toward the shop.
People start screaming. Everybody gets on the floor. It's completely tragedy.
Let's go. You should know something right now.
Google. Love is not despair.
Cause I feel
What's more is hope that change is possible.
Google tab? That's the Google tab?
like no one's around, yeah. Stars are down when
If you take away the labels, you realize that we're far more alike than we are different.
Love and pride.
Okay, where was it from, Miss?
Google.
Okay, Google. How did you know it was from Google?
The search bar.
Okay, brilliant. Now the reason why this is a part of the workshop is because top companies, for example Google, are looking more and more at humanities students, psychology, criminology students. And the reason for that is because what's been shown, arguably, is that these individuals can communicate much better than individuals in the STEM subjects. So in terms of the employees within these areas, they're much more from the humanities. And in terms of communication, that's a really, really key thing right now in general, especially with how the globe is becoming much, much smaller. Okay, so that's 3, yeah? We've done Harper Adams, AUB, and University of York. Now, York St. John University is in the same place as York, but it's a smaller university. Okay, in terms of the numbers, there's around 6,000 students, so a really personal feel in this particular university. Now, during the next 5 minutes, we're going to focus on different career opportunities in sport. Now, in terms of sport, these are the different courses that they have at the bottom for UG level. And sport's a really funny one, because quite often when people think of careers in sport, they think that they cannot make it unless there are people like this. Okay? Now, these are the people that, top sports people earning millions and millions of dollars. And actually, I may have the next Tiger Woods in this room, and that's great. Okay, before I go, I need your autograph. But if not, it's really important to look at all of the things that are behind these sports people. Nutritionists, physiotherapy, sports coaches, managers, okay, marketing. All of these areas are really important. And in terms of the sporting industry, globally, it's estimated to be around $480 to $620 billion. This is, okay? Now, in terms of how this fits with the service economy, what's happening more and more is people are becoming less active. Okay? People are becoming fatter, they're becoming more unhappy, mental health is becoming more and more acknowledged. And the one thing that links with the treatment of all of these is sport.